Internet. Welcome to episode 8 of Super TurboCast. I'm your host, Virgil Davis. Joining me tonight, alongside me,
for the first time ever,
is Josh Davis.
Yep, no relation.
No relation at all. Josh, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right, getting by.
That's good. Are you doing, as some people say when I ask them that?
Yeah, I'm doing what I do.
It's like when I ask people, how's it going? Oh, it's going.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. Well, Josh, a lot of shit happened this week.
So
God
much
of
shit.
War, so much shit.
We
God of War
gotta
3
plunge through it.
Remastered was revealed. That old retro game getting remastered. That's good. Kojima stuff happened.
Yeah, Kojima, all the business.
Nintendo's NX console puns was announced, and then Final Fantasy 15 demo happened.
Yes.
Episode Duscae.
Yes, episode
Duscae. I do believe that's how that's pronounced. So first off, let's get into God of War 3. So I know you don't know much about this. I'll inform you on the deets. This was announced just today. It's just God of War 3. It's coming to PS4, obviously. The only new thing is a photo mode, like Infamous, where you can take cool pictures to upload on your social medias.
Yeah, because everybody loves that. Even though doesn't the PS4 already have a screenshot capture mode?
Well, see, this makes you be able to change the angles and stuff.
You can do fancy angles.
Yeah. But it's at a smooth, buttery smooth, I believe is the way they put it. 1080p, all that good stuff. It's gonna retail, Josh, for $40.
That seems a bit high.
What are you talking about? You can buy this game right now on PS3 for like $2 used.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know why they think $40
and like
will fly, but
and I'm not a big God of War follower. I haven't really played any of the games, despite owning at least one of them. Hasn't there been one since that? Hasn't there like Ascension?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, old Ascension.
So there's not bringing us the first game, not bringing us the newest game.
Yep, just 3.
Three.
I like that it's getting remastered because I played the game when it came out. Only played it once. I've always wanted to go back to it, so this will give me an excuse to play it again, but I'm not buying this for $40. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, you'll wait until it hits the budget bins.
But. Yeah, for sure, but it's just weird that none of the other games are coming with it. Because even if they just took the PS3 versions at 720p and just upscaled them to 1080p, I feel like more people would buy the whole package then, and you would make back that money, that small amount of money you would spend on putting those with it in sales through more people buying it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think I can kind of understand them not doing that, just because if you're going back, like even if you're upgrading an upgrade, you're still going back to a game that's 2 generations old.
Right.
And it's still going to look jarringly incongruous with the modern day graphics. Whereas, you go back 1 generation and pretty it up a little bit, it looks pretty close to modern day graphics on a lot of games.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks super like modern day graphics if it's The Last of Us, but they pretty much learned last generation, just go back 1 generation and bring those games forward. It's pretty easy for them to do. It doesn't cost them a lot of money. Unless it's Kingdom Hearts, where they lost the assets beforehand. Yeah. And people will buy them. So
my thing with that is, though, we just got a PSP game retailing for $60.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Yeah, but there were...
I could get that, though.
There were factors that I feel like made that more of a value.
Like greed.
Yeah.
God, that's so ridiculous. That's another topic. So, yeah, I'll buy it. No, I won't. I'll play it when I get to it. But not necessarily a bad thing that's being remastered, but I think the pricing is a little ridiculous.
Yeah, and I am a fan of the HD remasters. Like I'll grab HD remasters when they're on sale, even if games I already own, just to give me a better excuse to go back.
And it's that prime version of that game,
Yeah,
it's the definitive version. Yeah, as Square Enix likes to, put out there.
Definitive Day Zero
edition.
Day -1.
I hate that so much. Ugh. Anyway, Kojima.
Yes,
stuff happened with that. Josh, I don't know much about this, so why don't you hit me with that knowledge?
All of the Kojima business. Okay, we're going to address the whole Kojima business, and we're going to do it better than Konami addressed it.
Okay.
When they finally...
Now, Konami, they make Yu-Gi-Oh cards, right?
That is one of the many things they do, yes.
Yeah.
So, Hideo Kojima's pretty much the only real guy Konami has at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you think Konami, as far as video games, you got obviously Metal Gear.
Metal Gear.
That's Kojima's baby. You've got like Castlevania, which they haven't
hasn't had a great game in
and the last couple were headed up by Kojima Productions, and they had mixed opinions, especially the second one. But point is more or less Kojima was working on them. Let's see what else. Konami, Silent Hill. Oh hey, there's a new one of those coming out.
Silent Hills.
Plural. Oh yeah, Kojima's working on that. And then like you go back and there's like stuff like Gradius and Contra and all that stuff that they haven't touched in ages and ages.
So it sounds to me like Kojima is Konami.
Yeah, you would think. But apparently recently, Konami's been updating their website, updating their list of executives and staff members and stuff. And Hideo Kojima went off of their list. He was not listed as their one of their executives anymore. Coincidentally, around the same time, they announced that the Kojima Productions American branch is being renamed to, I believe it's Konami Los Angeles. Something along those lines, at any rate. Losing the Kojima name. And the Kojima Productions Twitter went from Kojima, I forget what the whole thing was, but it started with Kojima, to being Metal Gear _EN. So Metal Gear English Twitter. And all of the marketing for the upcoming Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain.
That I did know about. They took out all of the
there's no longer a Hideo Kojima game in the title, which has been on every Metal Gear Solid game that he's worked on since at least Metal Gear Solid 2. The Kojima Productions logos are gone, which I guess would make sense anyway with Kojima Productions now being Konami Los Angeles or whatever. Basically, Kojima's being wiped off of everything. So the rumor starts going around, is Kojima leaving Konami? Is Konami giving him the boot? What's going on?
So what have they said about it?
Well, Kojima hasn't said really anything.
Of course.
And in fact, there was a bit of confusion because like one of the last tweets he put out on his Twitter when all of this was going on was a screenshot of Metal Gear Solid 5 with like Snake about to board a helicopter, and I believe the text was something like, "I'm like off we go" or something like something that sounded like he was saying he was leaving without saying anything at all. Yeah, which is typical Kojima at any rate.
Yeah.
And Konami wasn't saying anything, and they weren't saying anything. And then finally today they put up
a joint
an announcement.
Statement, right?
What was that?
A joint statement came out, right? Like,
I think it was just Konami. I didn't see anything.
Okay, I saw a joint statement, but I didn't. Well, I'll look that up while we're.
Yeah, well, the one I saw was Konami's announcement. They were like, "Oh, we're going to address the rumors that have been going around. Hideo Kojima is continuing to work on Metal Gear Solid 5, and we'll see it through to its release this September. And with our plans we already have plans to continue the Metal Gear Solid series, and we are looking for new staff to hire on. Please apply. Da 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 da." Which nothing in that really addressed the rumor at all.
Very PR-ish.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they didn't even... They were basically like, oh, hey, there's this rumor we need to address.
Let's not address it.
Let's not address it at all. So it's really not clear at this point if Kojima is leaving Konami or not. And I mean, Kojima has been saying that this is the last Metal Gear Solid game he's going to make. But he's said that literally since at least Metal Gear Solid 2. So this is like the fifth or sixth last Metal Gear Solid game he's going to make.
I would think by all of those signs that clearly something's happening. He's probably not going to be.
Yes. And like there's a lot of people aren't sure, like, is he completely leaving? Is he going to stay on as like a contractor and he's just not permanently hired on to the company, like how Sakurai left Nintendo, but still kept making Smash Brothers games and Kid Icarus and everything. It's really just not clear what's going on.
See, I feel like if it was that, though, they would just say it. I feel like like they don't want to say... My impression is that he is leaving, but they don't want to say it to stir up any kind of negative...
Yeah. And the biggest thing to me is the elephant in the room that nobody's really addressing, which is, what does this mean for Silent Hills?
Yeah.
Because that is Kojima and Guillermo del Toro's baby, basically, that they were working on together. If Kojima's leaving Konami, what is even happening to that?
Yeah, I don't know. That'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if we just did not see that game. Like, honestly, it would not surprise me if we just never saw that game again after this.
Yeah, because like as a big Metal Gear Solid fan, I don't believe this actually affects Metal Gear directly that much.
I mean, especially if it's slated for September 1st.
Yeah, 5's already in the bag.
Yeah.
That's done. Anything they do after 5, like, to not give too much away about the timeline and everything, 5 is the last game. There's really nowhere for them to squeeze in another game unless they start pulling some Metroid stuff where, like, Nintendo keeps squeezing games in between the other games. Unless they go through and try to squeeze games in or remake the old games, which I could see them doing, like, a remake of Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2, the games before Metal Gear Solid, because, like, nobody has played those.
Yeah.
Except me, because I'm too big of a nerd. Or doing more stuff with, like, Raiden, like they did Metal Gear Rising, continuing that part.
Revengeance.
Yeah. There's really nowhere else to take Big Boss or Solid Snake. Like, this is it. And
you know how bizarre that fucking series is to someone who knows nothing about it?
Yeah, it's
like Big Boss, he's big, he's bossy, but he's Snake, right? Is that right?
He's kind of Snake.
He's kind of Snake.
And Snake's kind of him.
Okay.
But they're also not each other.
There's also an octopus, if I recall.
Yes, but that's just a decoy.
Decoy,
he's
right? He's the old decoy octopus.
Yes. And there's an ocelot and
right
a bunch of people with animal code names.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Also, Snake is a Big Boss now.
Oh, he's a Big Boss.
5. Okay, so Big Boss has like a horn coming out of his head.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure what's going on with that.
He got a robot arm or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll find out. But
thank God, it's been keeping me up at night. Why does Big Boss have a horn in his head?
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. And I mean, there have been Metal Gear games before without Kojima at the helm. None of those are considered canon. Like, go back to the NES. Snake's Revenge was a Metal Gear game. Kojima had nothing to do with that. It's kind of complete garbage. On the Game Boy Color, there was a game that we in America just know as Metal Gear Solid because Konami decided to confuse people. But elsewhere,
they just named it Metal Gear Solid?
They just named it Metal Gear Solid. Elsewhere in the world, it was Metal Gear Solid Ghost Babel. Or maybe it was just Metal Gear Ghost Babel. It may not have had Solid in the title. The 2 Metal Gear Acid games on PSP were not Kojima related. Metal Gear Solid
Portable Ops.
Yeah, Portable Ops. Kojima was not involved with. It was considered canon until Kojima decided, no, it's kind of canon. It's kind of it's confusing. He's basically.
I love how as a creator you can just do that. You can just say, well, you know what? Actually, no, that doesn't exist in my fictional universe.
Well, like the I believe the statement is that it's something along the lines of those events happened, but not as they are chronicled in that game. So, like, the details aren't right, but something like that happened. And I feel like there's another example. Revengeance, obviously.
Revengeance.
He didn't work on Rising Revengeance.
So that didn't happen?
That was done by Platinum.
Revengeance didn't happen?
It kind of happened. I mean, it's at the very tail end of the timeline. So you're just kind of tacking stuff on. You can count it as happening, but it doesn't really
What the
matter.
hell is Raiden?
Raiden, oh, jeez.
He's got a jaw that's
he's a cyborg.
Okay.
The short version is he's a cyborg. He wasn't a cyborg in 2 when he first showed up, when he was the main
I've heard he's
protagonist.
naked in that game. Is that right?
He is at one point naked in that game.
Okay.
And it's funny because you have to run around with your hands covering your crotch.
Now, does he have katanas coming out of his heels at that point?
No. At that point, he is completely human. When he shows back up in 4 is when he is...
Spoilers.
A cyborg, yeah. But that game came out, like, a while ago, so...
And I will probably play them. Never.
Yeah.
I might. Who knows?
It's really... Like, I'm a huge fan of the series. It's really hard to recommend getting into the series to anybody who isn't already into it because it is not an easy series to get into.
Remaster Twin Snakes, and I would give it a chance.
Yeah, but
there's a whole bunch of shit around that.
Yeah, it's tied up in Silicon Knights, I believe it was the company that did who did Twin Snakes, and they went under. They don't even exist anymore.
It's weird how that can happen, and then it's like, wait, who actually owns this now?
Yeah. So,
that's crazy.
And I mean, and it's weird because, like in Metal Gear Solid 4, there were bits where like they'd flash back to the events of the original Metal Gear, and they'd use footage from the PlayStation version and audio from Twin Snakes. Because the audio was so much better in Twin Snakes, but I don't...
Very strange.
Yeah.
So yeah, a bunch of Kojima stuff happened, and
Yeah, so
in natural Kojima fashion, we don't really know what it is.
Yeah, we don't really know. But Kojima will be fine.
It's fine.
Like, Kojima is not... Like, if Konami's actually, like, literally booting him out, he's fine.
That's the thing. I feel like they'd have to be really dumb to do that. I feel like...
And I mean, he's been saying literally forever, like, I don't want to work on Metal Gear anymore. I want to work on other things. And he kind of has, because, like I said, Castlevania... I don't know how much he directly was involved with that, or how much it was just his production team. And then he was working on Silent Hills. But he's been wanting to let Metal Gear kind of go, and Konami won't let him. And at the same time, I can tell... My impression is he has enough of an attachment to Metal Gear that when Konami's like, okay, we're going to make another Metal Gear, he really wants... Like, he doesn't want to work on it, but he wants nobody else to work on it. Yeah, because it's his baby. But I feel like after 5, it doesn't really matter anything they do. Everything
it's his tiny little convoluted baby.
Yeah, everything else they do is just non-canon expanded universe.
Yeah, Kojima's gonna be... He could slap his name on just shit on a disc, and it would sell. I feel like he's gonna be fine. I think that he wants to leave, and Konami is just... I guess they're just gonna make more Yu-Gi-Oh cards. That's how they're gonna get by.
Yeah, and I mean, then they have other business practices in Japan. They own like a chain of gyms and stuff.
Gyms or gems?
Gyms.
Konami owns gyms?
Yes. Like, you can go
like
exercise
workout
at
gyms?
The Konami gym.
Does it play Snake Eater all day? Or?
No. I don't even know. Japanese companies very frequently branch out into other business like that.
Into weird shit. There's like a Demon Souls cafe somewhere that I need to go to.
I think it was in the 70s. Nintendo owned a Love Hotel.
And by love, you mean?
I mean, yeah, it's a thing in Japan. They have love hotels. It's you go there to express your love with your person for an hour or two.
Nice. Does that still exist?
Yes. Well, not Nintendo's.
Oh.
But, I mean, love hotels are very much still a thing.
Maybe that's what Nintendo's NX is.
Yeah, the Nintendo...
How you like that
segue? I was trying to think of an abbreviation that would work there, and it didn't work.
Nintendo NX. It's their NXT console.
Yes.
And I believe I already made that joke.
Yes. But it was a good one.
Thank you.
We remastered it.
We brought it back. It was so retro.
Yeah, we had to upgrade its resolutions. And
all that. We don't know a lot about Nintendo NX. They've basically said that it's just their next console, and that they're going to be integrating... It's kind of on the heels of them closing Club Nintendo, and that they're going to integrate Wii U, 3DS, PCs, smart devices, and I think there was one more.
Yeah,
and then and NX, of course. So those 5 things will all be able to use this service that the NX is going to be based on, or whatever.
Yeah, because the NX news kind of came along with the announcement that they're going to start.
They're doing mobile.
Yeah, they're going to do smartphone games with. I completely forget the name of the company they're working with. DNA. Yeah.
Which is stylized as emoticon D, the big smiley one, then ENA. Denna, pretty much.
Which they apparently are fairly successful in making freemium.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like that's kind of a gross... Well, I mean...
But I mean, Nintendo did just put out that Pokemon puzzle game on the 3DS that is literally that. Yeah.
I just feel like for all the mobile companies to get in bed with, that's the last one I want them to. Is one like that has a bunch of free stuff.
But they have said they're like... It's not going to be like they're just like, okay, Dinna, or whatever their name is. Here's Mario.
Emoticon DNA.
They're not doing the Philips CDI again, where they just give their characters to the other company. Like, yeah, here, do whatever. They are co-developing whatever it is. They did announce that they're not going to simply re-release games that are for existing platforms.
Yeah, no existing games will be on this.
So you're not going to get Super Mario Brothers 3 on your phone.
I feel like is super stupid. You're leaving money on the table at that point.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, look,
there are some games I could benefit from.
There are some games that have been released on smartphone that are like fantastic games, and then you put them on a smartphone and it's like, this is unplayable garbage because there's no buttons.
Yeah.
And definitely the majority of the Nintendo library is that.
Yeah. But
like you could do like Tetris Attack, aka Panel de Pon, aka Pokemon Puzzle League, aka Puzzle League. You could do stuff like that. You could do Yoshi's Cookie.
Well, that's the thing. You could do even just like you could do the Marios. Yeah, it wouldn't be, perfect. Yeah. But for 5 minutes on the bus or whatever, it'd be fine. And then they always have the like gamepad attachments for smartphones and stuff. So
yeah, which I've never found one of those that I like. But
I mean, if they put Mario, Super Mario Bros. Original, on smartphones for even $2.99, it would print money. Like that would.
Yeah, but Nintendo's very much about like
control.
Let's not just put out this game because we can. Let's make something that is a fit for this hardware. Let's do something that is unique and will be a perfect fit for this hardware. I kind of repeated myself there. But that's what like Miyamoto said about F-Zero. The reason they haven't done any F-Zeros in a long time is because
aside the fact that no one would actually buy it.
Well, there are some big F-Zero fans.
Well, when I say no one, I mean no one to make money.
Yeah, not people to make, well, debatable. But they've said, there's a lot of companies out there doing racing games. We feel like if we do a F-Zero, it needs to be something unique. We need to have some sort of unique hardware application for it before we just, put out, oh yeah, here's F-Zero again.
Yeah.
So
an F-Zero is one of those that people have this outcry for, but if it actually came out, I think it would not sell at all.
Yeah.
Like
Nintendo just it's not enough to just pump out a new entry in a franchise. It has to do something new and unique, and usually something relevant to the hardware it's on.
Which they've been doing great with Wii U, all those, smart uses of the gamepad and such.
Yeah.
Do you know that in Smash Bros, if you go to, how you can make your profile?
Yeah.
When you go to make your profile, a keyboard does not even pop up on the gamepad to type in your name. You have to do your phone
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's the fact that none of the menus you can just press the gamepad.
Yep.
You have to arrow key over. Yeah.
Or in Mario Kart when you're doing 4-player.
Yeah.
It's still split screen on your screen, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
I'll never understand these simple things. I'll never understand.
Yeah.
So with the Nintendo NX, what do you think they should do with it?
I don't know, because from what they've said, it sounds like they're trying to do the third tier thing again. Because they said they're going to leverage it alongside the Wii U and the 3DS. And if there's one thing that I can tell you from my history as a long-term Nintendo fanboy, the third tier never works. They, back in the day, they had, we've got the Game Boy, we've got the Super Nintendo, we're going to have a third tier coming out. It's the Virtual Boy.
That's what that was great. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was
those 5 games.
It was great. I love the Virtual Boy. I don't have one, but I loved it when it came out. I'd go to Target every single day. Well, not every day, but every time we went to Target, I would play the demo they had of the Virtual Boy. I'd usually have the Wario Land game in there, and I'd play the heck out of it until my parents drugged me away because it was time to go home. And I begged my parents, we've got to get this Virtual Boy. We've got to get this Virtual Boy. It's awesome. It's 3D. It's the future.
It is the future.
And once I finally talked my parents into getting it, we went over to Target, and the employee was like, oh, yeah, we don't really have any more of those. They've discontinued it. And then later on, much more, well, not much more at this point. Jesus, I feel old. When the DS came out, Nintendo wasn't quite sure if the DS was going to make it. They had, a lot of people online were like, oh, this is a gimmick. Who needs 2 screens? What's all this touchscreen about? This is dumb. Nintendo's failing. All the things the internet usually says. And, Nintendo's failing. This is the end of Nintendo. They're going to go third party after this.
It's the end.
But just, Nintendo didn't quite have faith in the DS. So they were like, okay, we're going to release the Game Boy Micro. We're going to have 3 tiers. It's going to be the Game Boy Micro, the DS, and was it still the GameCube at that point? Yes, it was still the GameCube at that point. The Wii wasn't out yet.
I bought a Game Boy Micro.
Yeah, I bought one eventually on eBay, but
I bought one at launch and paid the ridiculous amount of money for it. It was
and
my grandma was so pissed that I talked my grandpa into buying that for me. God, she was furious.
Yeah, and once the DS was actually out and people started playing it, they realized, oh, this isn't just a gimmick. This is a great system, and everybody immediately forgot about the Game Boy Micro entirely.
Well, also the screen was 2 pixels.
Yeah, well, it was the same amount of pixels. Let's be clear here.
Excuse me, it wasn't 2 pixels.
It was 2 centimeters.
2 centimeters.
It was all those same pixels put down into a tiny screen.
It was a joke, Josh.
Yeah,
and you took it just too literally. Man.
Yeah, I know. That's what I do.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a third tier thing could be what they're going for. I think what they need to do is slowly, not suddenly, or you'll have a Sega type of thing, but slowly phase out the Wii U and then introduce this super. In a perfect world, it would be a handheld more powerful than the Vita that could also display to a TV.
Yes,
because they do handheld so well. That's been their bread and butter, I feel like.
Yes,
since Game Boy. And I think that is, if they did that, I feel like they could conquer the handheld realm as far as hardcore, whatever you want to call it.
Well, let's face it, they've already conquered the handheld realm.
Right, but they could continue to conquer.
They've never not conquered the handheld realm.
Right, yeah. They could continue to.
There have been so many, and people don't even realize this, there have been so many contenders to the Game Boy and the DS and everything. Because people, the Game Gear, the PSP, the Vita, but then there's like the Neo Geo Pocket, there's
the PSP
Wonder Swan, there's the Atari Lynx.
I played that Final Fantasy IV on the Wonder Swan.
Yeah. There's just so many things that have come and tried to steal the thunder from Nintendo's handhelds, and it's never happened.
I think that if they did that, if they go that way...
And let me preface, post-face that with saying that I love the Vita.
Yeah, the Vita's awesome.
Vita's like one of my favorite systems I own, but it's not beating the 3DS in any stretch of the imagination.
And will never.
No.
But I think hardware-wise, it makes the 3DS look like a joke. Like, it's very hard to play some 3DS games after going from the Vita to it.
Yeah,
but
there has been a lot of speculation that the next thing Nintendo's really going to do is, instead of having a home console and a portable console,
make it all
one system. And the Wii U was kind of a step in that direction without actually being in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of feels like they were testing the waters. They were dipping their little toes in.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because the way they've worded their statements about the NX, it sounds like they're trying to put it out alongside the Wii U and the 3DS. So I don't know that that's going to be what it is.
But that they would say that.
Yeah.
They wouldn't.
Yeah, because they don't want to be like, oh yeah, this is the next thing, and we're going to get rid of.
Abandoning.
We're abandoning these systems that, like, the Wii U still hasn't really caught on like it should have.
Yeah, the Wii U commercially is a flop. It's an awesome system with awesome games, but it's never gonna. Yeah. And I think that's the new service that's going to replace Club Nintendo. I think it'll have kind of tacked on features, especially for the Wii U and 3DS. I think because I think they're really going to focus on the NX and the smartphones, and then they'll have some stuff for 3DS and Wii U.
But we'll see, because one of the only details they gave us about the NX is that it's a project, it's in development, and they're looking forward to revealing it next year.
Yeah.
So we've got to wait.
It's such a long year.
Yeah, we've got a little bit.
I want to know. I want to know now. I want to know so bad what it is. I'm so intrigued by it.
You want it now?
I do.
You're gonna be a bad egg.
Yeah.
You're gonna go down for assault.
I want it now.
I was trying to make a Willy Wonka reference, and it was it was not good.
It wasn't. But hey, if there's anything to know about the show, is that we make bad jokes.
Yeah. And
we embrace them.
Yeah.
So that's it for the news. A lot of shit happened, actually.
Yeah.
A lot of cool stuff. Started out with God of War 3 and then ended with Nintendo. So you kind of go from the bottom of the barrel to awesome stuff. Not to shit on God of War, but I mean, if you want to compare the two.
Yeah.
Josh.
Yes.
You played a demo.
Yes. And so did you.
Now, usually demos wouldn't really be newsworthy.
No.
This is a demo of a kind of an important game.
Yes.
I believe it's called Final Fantasy 15 Episode Duscae. Yes. Is that how you pronounce that? Duscae?
Episode Douche.
Douche?
Duscae.
Duscae. No, I think that's
a different game.
Episode Dissidia. Is that what that's called? Real quick, as an aside.
358 Days Over 2.
Episode, yeah.
HD remix.
Duodecim.
Roman numeral 1. Arabic 5.
I love that that they did the Roman numerals and the point.
Yeah.
Real quick, as an aside, are you a Dissidia fan?
I've played them a little bit,
but not like huge.
Yeah, but not like they're not really my thing.
Right. Those games are the epitome of fan service for Final Fantasy. There's nothing like it for Final Fantasy. I mean, each game gets represented equally, from the ones that don't matter in the 80s to, the newer ones. So, when that gameplay hit, for the new Dissidia. I'm a enormous Dissidia fan. Played with my best friend all the time. All I saw was new Dissidia and went instantly to the video.
Yeah.
And watched the video and just lost my shit. I was banging on the table, just losing my mind. And I called Kyle. I'm like, dude, did you see this Dissidia trailer? And he was like, yeah, man, the one for the Japanese arcades?
Yeah.
And I said, what? And I went back, and yep, it was just for Japanese arcades, and my heart broke. Please put that on PS4. I would spend.
Yeah, I'll just give them a little bit.
I would spend $100 on it.
They'll put it out. My expectation there is they'll put it out in the arcade. They'll run it a little bit, figure out balancing, maybe think up some more characters.
I assume
to
that's
put in,
what they'll do,
and then port it over. That's how fighting games tend to go.
Square, I will give you $100 for it because I'm a sad, pathetic fucking man.
Yeah.
Put it on PS4.
And I mean, and it sounds like a joke over here to be like, oh, it's coming out in the arcades, ho ho ho. But I've gone over to Japan a couple times. Arcades are still a big thing over there.
Even over there, though, I've heard that they're, definitely not what they used to be. But,
yeah,
but they're still much bigger than they are
I haven't been there in
here.
like 6 years, but like when I was, and admittedly, most of the areas I went there was like Akihabara, which is like the nerdiest place you can go. But like 6-7 story buildings with just the whole thing's an arcade, and each level is a different stuff.
It makes me actually kind of hopeful that they're waning so much that maybe that will make them want to make up some more revenue by releasing it on PS4. Anyway,
but I mean, it's the same thing as like the Pokken tournament, Pokemon Tekken thing that's
so
coming
weird.
out in Japanese arcades. That's coming to the Wii U.
You would think, but Nintendo's really weird.
Especially
like
because like that game does not use a joystick and like a traditional arcade joystick and buttons. Pokken Tournament uses literally a controller with the ABXY Nintendo
really? I didn't know
layout,
that.
and it's not even like a Super Nintendo size controller.
It's like a Pro.
The width of it is like exactly the size of the gamepad's width. So
right,
like they're really setting it up for eventual home port.
Anyway, Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, we kind of sidetracked there.
Yeah, that's cool. We both played it.
Yep.
Both finished it.
That's the thing we did.
You want to start? Or you want me to start? How do you want to break this one open?
I'll let you go first. You're more of the Final Fantasy fan.
Okay. Well, there are a few things. There are a lot of things, actually. Got a lot of problems with it. A lot of issues. A lot of good, too, though. I mean, I don't even know where to start to unpack this. Right away, it opens up. They're all in the tent, broing out.
Yeah,
having a little bro sleepover
in their Coleman tents.
In their Coleman tents, yes. And
I said, no, I didn't notice the Coleman branding in the demo. Is the Coleman branding present in the demo?
It sure is.
Okay, see, I wasn't even looking for it that much. But.
Yeah, I looked for it after the fact. If you don't know, Square signed a deal with Coleman to have product placement on all the camping stuff.
Yeah.
In their words, it was to, quote unquote, this isn't an actual quote though, but it's paraphrasing, make the experience more realistic.
Yes, to make it more realistic that a real world company is present in this fictional, semi-modern, largely fantasy world.
I will say, before I get really into it,
I'm surprised, like when their alarm went off on their phone, it wasn't like an iPhone, and
it was very iPhone-ish though. It was like it was weird.
But I mean, all phones are iPhone-ish.
Yeah. I will say, if I had to describe the game and this demo in one word, it would be bizarre.
Yeah.
It's very strange and very unlike most things I've ever played. But right away, when they kind of come out of the tent and you see like the overview of the world, I wasn't disappointed. I wasn't impressed whatsoever. I felt like that was the big like, oh wow, look at our world. I'm like, oh wow, that looks okay. Like
it
didn't look great.
It had tones of the scene in the original Final Fantasy when they cross the bridge and they have like, oh look, here's the heroes and there's this big castle in the background and here's the logo. It had like tones of that, without being that at all. Just in the way that like they came out and like it panned back.
Yeah. But graphically,
birds flew overhead and
graphically it was very, and it kind of became more apparent as the demo went on. Very, very clear that it was a PS3 game that was then ported to PS4. There were some blurry textures in some areas, and the whole thing ran at like 20 frames a second. That was another thing. It ran awfully, and people say, "Well, hey, this is demo, blah blah blah." I could be completely wrong about this, but I feel like I read somewhere that they went out of their way to like almost finish this entire section of the game to get this demo out. So if that's like finished and the whole game runs like that,
yeah. But I mean, this area may be finished. That doesn't necessarily mean that the engine is 100%.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm like I said, that could be the case where the engine isn't finished, and hopefully it doesn't run like that. But as far as this demo and alone, that was definitely something that was noticeable. The combat is weird. I'm not sure if I'm just bad at it or if I just don't get it. Or let me rephrase that. I'm not sure if the combat is bad or if I'm just bad at it. I couldn't really tell. There are times where I wanted... Okay, first of all, some of the controls are not even correct. I don't know if you noticed this. This really bothered me. It says that R3 is to lock on, and it's not at all. Like,
I didn't even catch it say R3. I immediately went to R2.
It's like R3, all it does is kind of redo your camera.
Yeah, it redirects. Once you're locked on, I think it doesn't change who you're locked on to. Or is it? I thought it said that, and then I never actually bothered to. I'm
not sure. It may, like, moving, it might.
But, like, half the time I couldn't... I had problems with the lock-on. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Hold it, like, clicking R1 will make you lock on for a second, and then holding R1 will, like, lock it or whatever.
I thought it was R2.
I think it was R1.
Okay, you might be right. It's been a few days since...
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was R1.
Yeah, and that took a lot of getting used to, because, like, I would try to lock on, and I was like, oh, I didn't hold it long enough.
Yeah, it was very weird. And it's like, just tapping it doesn't really do anything. Yeah. It just does it for a second. And it's like, well, why do I even...
brings up the reticule.
Yeah, why do I even have to hold it? Yeah. Like, there's not... So, that was weird.
It's no Z targeting.
Yeah. Trying to think... Not to be completely negative, because I did like a few things about it. Although it didn't run well, I thought the world overall was really interesting and bizarre at the same time.
Yeah.
The fact that there's just a normal RV like trailer in a Final Fantasy game was very bizarre.
Yeah. And like you go up to like shops and they've got like bags of chips.
It's weird,
stuff.
man.
But like all the branding is like, here's this bag of chip with this animal that doesn't exist on it.
Yeah.
And people eating chicken wings.
Those chicken
Lots
wings.
of people eating chicken wings. I saw just people making videos online where they just watched people eating chicken wings. At like the gas station.
The more I talk about it, honestly, the negative to positive ratio is probably like 7 negative to 3 positive. There's a lot of negative, I feel like. I feel like a few things can really ruin a game, and one is the voice acting. And good fucking God, that voice acting.
Yeah.
What's his name? Shit.
I can't remember any of the characters' names.
Prompto.
Oh, yes.
Prompto. The blonde fucker.
Yeah.
That dude can die.
Like the gangly...
Freckled Cloud, we'll call him.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. He didn't look that much like Cloud. He reminded me of some of the...
He has blonde spiky hair.
He reminded me of some of my coworkers who are like super young.
Anyway, his voice makes me want to kill myself.
Yeah.
And just... Like, I would walk up to the shop and listen to just some of the NPCs talk, and it just made me cringe. It made me physically cringe. I'm like, oh my God. And in the demo, there was no option to... like, you could turn on Japanese audio, but there was no option for subs.
Yeah.
So, and I turned on Japanese audio for a little bit. I'm like, oh man, this sounds so much better.
Well, no, I did find there was an option for subtitles, but it was like, I couldn't find it easily.
Is there? Because, I mean, I went to...
I'm pretty sure I did find it after the fact, and it was like... But you had to, like, start the game. Like, it wasn't in the options before you hit, like, start game or continue or whatever. It was in the options after you got into the game and paused.
Okay, I will do that later tonight, and because I really want to play that game with
because there was
audio.
It brought up options, and it was like, text for this, text for that, text for
whatever. Okay. Well, if that's the case,
and there was like options for like for the captions, like whether or not you wanted to show the name of who was speaking in addition to the caption.
Okay, I didn't see anything like that, so I probably missed it.
Yeah, it was like varied options. I don't know why. That wouldn't all just be in the options menu when you start the game up. Because that's usually the first thing I do on a game.
Especially, like, those two are usually together.
Yeah.
It makes sense if they would be together in different...
Yeah, like, usually the first thing I do when I boot up a game is go into the options, turn on the captions on the audio.
Yeah.
because I'm a slightly hard of hearing, and sometimes in games I can't. Like if I don't have the text on the screen, I may not be able to tell what a character said to me, and it's not like in real life where you're gonna be like, "I'm sorry, could you repeat that?"
Yeah,
the game just keeps going.
Yeah,
and you're like, "Oh."
Another thing some people were bitching about is the music. I like the music. It's made by Yoko. I forget her last name, and I think Yoko was for her first name. I forget. She's the one who composed the music.
Yeah, well, it's confusing with Japanese.
Yeah,
because Japanese, the family name is technically the first name, and the given name is the last name, which is the opposite of how it is in America.
I forget. Yoko Shimomura.
Yeah, and a lot of times when
is her name,
Japanese names are brought over to America, they switch the order of the names just so it's less confusing.
Yeah. She composed the music for this game, and it's very Kingdom Heartsy.
Yeah, especially when you get into battle.
Yeah, she's obsessed with that time frame of like 1 2 1 2 1 2 1.
Like
2.
most of the music,
obsessed with it.
Most of the music sounded more Final Fantasy than Kingdom Hearts, but like as soon as battle starts, it might as well be just be like
dun
dun dun dun dun dun dun dun.
Have you played Xenoblade Chronicles?
Not for more than like 5 minutes.
Same exact thing. That same time pattern of 1 2 1 2 1 2 1. Like she's just obsessed with it, and I don't mind it necessarily. It's like her like signature almost, but it was like, okay, this makes it feel very Kingdom Heartsy. But I liked it. I feel like it matched the aesthetic of the game very well.
Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, the game did start out being developed by the Kingdom Hearts guy.
Tetsuya Nomura?
Yes, Nomura.
Yeah.
Who is not on the project anymore, which is
weird.
Confusing. Like the only logic I can see there is they pulled him off to let him focus more on Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd really like to know exactly what was going on with that.
Which is like, why the hell wasn't he focusing on Kingdom Hearts 3 in the first place? But that's a different discussion for a different time.
Yeah. Let's see what else. My two big positives, and they were both fan service related in a way. You camp in the game to level up. It's kind of interesting. Basically, all the XP you get throughout the day, you don't actually level up in real time. You wait until you camp that night, and then you level up.
Yeah.
Well, after you do that, the victory fanfare plays, and there's a plus for this game, just right there.
Yeah.
Because 13 didn't have it anywhere in the game, and any of the three awful.
Yeah, and I've seen like some interview or whatever where they commented on the whole camping to level up system, and it's because this is a realistic world where day and night passes in real time, and they wanted the characters to seem more human than just people who literally never go to bed.
Right.
So it was sort of a way to force you to stop and camp, is the fact that that's when your level ups happen, and every time you camp, you get some sort of stat buff that lasts for a number of hours.
Yeah, like the basically, depending on what you killed that day, you get different meals. Or the Ignis, I believe is his name, the one with the glasses. He cooks meals depending on what you killed, and they will give you different stat bonuses for that next day.
And you can also like buy ingredients and stuff.
Yeah, if you don't kill anything that day, you get toast. Like you just all eat toast, which is nice.
Beans on toast.
Beans on toast. What was I saying? Oh, but yeah, after you level up or whatever, the victory fanfare plays, and I thought that was awesome. My biggest, and this might sound dumb, that this is my favorite thing. Oh, real quick, before we get off the voice acting. Cindy. Yeah. Good fucking God.
Yeah, like the first thing after she spoke, or after the interaction with her, after I finished the game, I wanted to go back and just turn Japanese audio on. I ended up not doing it because I did try to do it, and then the demo took forever to load again.
Yeah, it takes a long time to load.
Like, it didn't take that long to load the first time, but like I guess because I switched the audio, it had to maybe download more files. I don't know, but I basically just decided, okay, put the PS4 to sleep. I'm done for now. Because it wasn't that important for me to hear her speak in Japanese. Yeah. Like, I imagine in the Japanese version, she probably has like a Osaka area accent, because that's kind of the southern like,
equivalent.
Yeah. And you do see a lot in like anime when somebody's supposed to be like from Osaka, they tend to like give them like that kind of howdy y'all. Not quite that bad, but
she is basically
a little bit of a southern twang.
Right. I think as a whole, she is the most cringy thing about this game.
Yeah.
From character design to dubbing, just
one of the things that really bugs me about her is that in Japan, her name is Sydney.
Thank you. That's the thing.
And like apparently when they first revealed her, apparently they had said at that time that her name was Cindy in America. I didn't hear that. I had just seen like, oh, there's the Sid in this game is female and it's Sydney.
And that's genius.
That's genius.
Genius.
And then when I got the demo and they ran into her, I didn't have captions on.
Oh, so you hadn't heard about the change until you
I hadn't heard
demo?
about the change, and I didn't have the captions on because I hadn't found that option yet. And they're like, "Oh, hey, Cindy," and I was like, "Oh, they mispronounced her name. It's supposed to be Sydney."
Yeah,
and it's because they decided to call her Cindy in America. Sydney is a real name.
Exactly.
I work with a girl named Sydney.
It blows my mind when I first heard that.
Why change it?
When I first heard that, I was like, a girl Sid named Sydney. That is genius.
Yes.
So at its core concept, it's amazing.
And she is a proper Sid because she's a mechanic.
Yeah.
Sids always have to be like mechanics or like inventors who work with machinery.
So they
except for I guess in Type 0, there's a Sid who's the evil guy who's the main villain.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Sorry, spoiler.
Does he? I really hope he didn't spoil that for me. I
don't know. I literally don't. I've read that that was what the Sid was in that game. I'm sorry.
That's cool. I heard the story is just awful anyway.
Okay.
So they took this awesome core concept of girl Sid named Sydney. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Instead of that, here in America, let's call her Cindy.
Yeah.
Because why not? Let's make her as visually offensive as possible.
Yeah. Just straight up like. Hey,
just sexualized from head to toe. And her interactions with the dudes is super gross.
Her outfit is like, let's take someone who's an auto mechanic and then just
rip her clothes.
It's like a stripper's idea of an auto mechanic.
She basically looks like what a dancer would look like if she was like dressed up as a mechanic at like a bachelor party.
Yeah, except like she has like the oil stains and everything on her clothes, so it's more like she's a stripper who has like her, I guess it wouldn't be night job, but like a morning job is working as an auto mechanic, and she doesn't change outfits between.
Yeah,
she just puts her stripper clothes back on and then works on the cars.
It's bad, and I could see a lot of people are already pretty upset about it. I don't know, and like I said, her interactions, like she'll be like, well, whenever y'all need another fixing, y'all come on over and I'll help you out. And the dude's like, well, next time we come over here, it won't be for a repair.
And she's like, oh, we can do upgrades too.
Yeah.
It's like every time everything they say to her is an attempt at a pickup line or a flirt, and she just consistently doesn't acknowledge it. And every time they're like, oh.
It's so bad. I feel like, I think in the Japanese audio, it's probably not nearly as bad.
Yeah. I don't know. We had some minor technical difficulties. Maybe repeating ourselves here. I'm not sure how her accent would come across in the Japanese version. I didn't get a chance to re-listen to it, but I feel like she probably has like an Osaka type accent because they usually dub those as like Southerners.
Let's see. And I don't mean to be overly negative because I did enjoy the demo. It's just I think I had really high expectations, and at the same time I was very cautious of this game because it's been in development since I was 13 years old, and I'm now almost 21.
Yeah.
So
it's been a long road.
It has been a long road.
Getting from there to here. That was the opening to Star Trek Enterprise.
Things I liked, I think I mentioned earlier, the fanfare after the camping, and that might be a small thing to say that as a big point that I liked, but I thought that was cool. The summons, though.
Summons, yes.
Everything about the summons in the game when you summon Ramu. How the hell? I don't know. Ramu, the Thunder God man. It's just amazing how they do it. If you haven't played the demo and you plan on doing it, I don't know why on earth you'd be listening to this if you plan on playing the demo.
Spoilers all over the place. You get a spoiler, and you get a spoiler, and you get a spoiler.
It's genius, though, just how they do it and how they kind of nod at the older Final Fantasies and their summons.
Big, giant, epic summon with, like, the side view very much brings back the memories of the sprites.
And the little box at the top showing what the move is, the Judgment Bolt for Ramu. It's just very, very awesome stuff, and I liked how the game looked. Like I said, I didn't think it was great, but it looked fine.
Yeah. Although it was interesting how you bring in the summons because. Like,
yeah, the way you bring in the summons is you're about basically if you almost die.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a
get out of jail free card.
Yeah. And I feel like that cannot be how they are in the real game. I hope this was just a demo thing, because otherwise, one, that makes the summons not nearly as cool or useful. Also, if you can just beat a full-scale boss with it, why would you not just do nothing?
Just get in there and get your ass kicked, and then like, summon.
Exactly. So I feel like maybe that was just a way to show it in the demo, because I think they made it purposely because you have to get removed to beat Behemoth. So I think maybe that's why.
And they also made it in the demo where if you used the summon against normal monsters, you didn't get any XP off of it.
Right, yeah.
And they like tell you that when you get the summon. You're like, you only get XP off of the boss fight.
Yeah. And the Behemoth boss was pretty frustrating because the way they present it, and as Josh said, we had some technical difficulties. So I may be repeating myself here, but the way they presented it was they were supposed to beat this boss. Yeah. Or that you could actually have a chance of beating this boss when you're not. You're supposed to just turn around and run the other way.
You go in, like your guys have a plan. You're like, okay, we're going to do this.
Yeah, they have like a whole plan.
Go do there, and like you execute the plan. You think you've done it. Like, yeah, we defeated him, and then like he gets up, and you're like, oh shit, and then it's like, but like they might as well just start the music like, ba-na-na-na, 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 like it camera angles around, like, oh no, we got to really fight now. And then next thing you know, you're getting your ass kicked.
The angle of it was epic. I was like, oh my god, yes. I thought it was such a cool way to present a boss battle in a modern Final Fantasy game. It's like, you do it in this cool, stylized, cinematic way.
And there's literally nothing on there to indicate, like, you need to run away now.
No, not at all. Until you're basically... It tells you once you're basically dead.
Yeah, and I was like, for me, like... I died once, thankfully. I only went through it once, but like, I died like 3 or 4 times. Crawling away in the... I'm about to die position where I could have summoned the summon if I had the summon, that was too many words of the summon in one sentence. But
stay away from the summoner.
Like I was in that near death state that you get in the game with the way the health system's a little weird, but it's interesting. And like as I was like crawling away trying to get my character to down a potion, I see all my dudes are like way on this other side of this area. What's going on? And then, I died, had to re-go through the whole plan, got back to that point, and realized, oh, they're going to this little area.
And you can't skip the cutscenes, by the way.
Yeah, they're going over here. Well, it's not even like really cutscenes because it's scenes because they don't cut away. Like it's all just integrated, which is cool.
Yeah. Again, Josh, the tiny details.
Yeah. But so, like, this time, like, I saw, that place where they ran away that first time, there's a little hole over there where we can escape from this boss fight. All of my dudes were trying to escape, and they did nothing to alert me. They weren't like, hey, Highness, let's get out of here. We can't beat this guy.
And there's not even an icon on the hole unless you get close to it to show, like...
Yeah.
But for me, I died 3 or 4 times, and I had to watch the whole scene of them walking slowly up to the thing, and then...
Yeah, like, we need to do this.
Going through the whole fucking plan, like, 3 times.
Yeah.
Real quick,
which I'm sure it lost its coolness.
It lost
every
everything.
time you went through.
The dialogue was the exact same. It made me want to die. Real quick, back on the combat. Another thing I really don't know how I feel about is defending in the game.
Yeah, like I felt like most of the time it wasn't doing anything unless except for when the icon was there that like, you can parry.
The parry. And even the parry I was very...
And there was so much emphasis it seemed on the parry because every time you beat an enemy it was like,
it shows how many parries.
Like this is how much damage you took and this is how many parries you did.
So it seems pretty important.
This is somehow calculated in the experience that is very vaguely calculated.
Yeah, like you basically
because it'd be like, this is your bonus experience, but it doesn't tell you how it got that number.
Yeah, you basically hold L1 to just be in a constant defending state.
Yeah,
and then you like move, you will like dodge it with your
little
powers,
tiny,
I guess.
Tiny teleport.
Yeah.
It's like your very short range. What's the guy from X-Men? He's blue. The blue guy from X-Men. Nightcrawler, yes.
Your Nightcrawler powers.
My mind went completely blank. But yeah, it's like you're going bamf, like 2 feet to the left.
Yeah. And it never worked quite how I wanted it to.
Yeah.
I feel like anytime there was a large crowd of enemies, like when the Magicite soldiers would come down.
Yes, and go God. When they came down and it said No, it was a Magitech.
Oh, yeah,
it was
yeah.
Magitech. It was a
Magitech.
Magitech
Yeah,
soldier.
yeah,
And I was
excuse
like,
me.
Magitech.
Yeah, I thought that was a really awesome nod.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you
I
also
said
find Magicite at one point. You find like a Magicite gym.
Oh, do you?
Or whatever, yeah.
The side quest?
I don't remember. I just remember I found one.
Okay, I don't think I found that. That's cool.
Because there was like, you were constantly finding items in this demo. It's
That's-
like you'd walk around and there'd be like, ooh, a shiny.
Yeah. So yeah, anytime there was a large crowd of enemies for me, it was like the defend did not work correctly. Parrying was impossible because you just couldn't
Yeah, because
even.
you constantly are having like, because like you'll try to lock on to one person and we may be repeating ourselves, but the lock on is all kinds of wonky. And
Yeah.
then like you're getting attacked by the other people while you're locked onto that one guy, and it was just
A lot of problems with the combat.
yeah. Like it was fresh. It was different.
It's different for sure.
Like I went in expecting the combat to be way Kingdom Hearts, and
I did too.
It wasn't that. It felt more Final Fantasy than Kingdom Hearts.
Especially when the first trailer dropped, or one of the first big ones, didn't it have like attack
It may
magic
have.
item? Like I feel like it had a very
can't
similar
remember.
Kingdom Hearts thing on like the left side. What was I going to say? Anyway, Josh, I know we kind of both went. You know,
Yeah.
I kind of led the impression.
yeah.
You kind of came off me.
Let's see.
But anything I didn't touch on that you?
Well, let's see. I went into the demo and came out of the demo a lot more positive than you. Like, admittedly, talking with you now, I see a lot of the things that didn't really catch my eye originally. The frame rate didn't bother me. I didn't even notice the frame rate really because I'm not very sensitive to those things. I could tell it was running smoothly, but what rate didn't really pick up on my eyeballs.
And it wasn't necessarily bad. Like, let me just say real quick.
Yeah.
But when you go from like other PS4 games,
Yeah.
that are running at minimum 30, mostly 60 now these days, it's pretty noticeable for me. It was so.
And it's also an important thing to note here is, like, you're a bigger Final Fantasy fan than I am, so you may have gone in with higher expectations. I'm going to try to figure out how to word this sentence. Not the most recent Final Fantasy game I've played. The most recently released Final Fantasy game I've played is Final Fantasy X. Because I have to say, because I've played games. I played other Final Fantasy since then, but they were all ones that originally came out
13?
before them. No, I didn't play 13. I didn't play 11 because I wasn't into MMOs. I never got around to 12. 13 I considered, but after it came out and there was like so much negative press around 13 about how linear it was, I just skipped it. Then 14
I like 13.
yeah. And I know your stance on 13. It opens up once it opens up, it's a really good game.
Yeah.
Basically, if you were playing it on 360, once you got to disc 2.
Yeah. I don't think that excuses like the 15, 20 hours you have to put into it.
Yeah.
But overall, it's not a terrible game. But it's not. It was disappointing in a lot of ways.
And then 14 was actually 2 MMOs, one of which was terrible, and then they rebooted it entirely.
Which the first time I tried to get into an MMO, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
A lot of Final Fantasy fan service stuff in there.
Yeah, but so I skipped that one because I'm not into MMO. So it's been a while since I played a new Final Fantasy. Like, I played through the PSP remake of the original during that time frame, and like I've gone back and played other ones like that. And I played Bravely Default, which is a Final Fantasy in everything but name, basically. But this is the first taste I've had of post Final Fantasy X Final Fantasy, and I was impressed. Like, for the most part, I didn't have problems with the voice acting. Like we said, I'm going to refer to her as Sydney. I don't even care. Sydney's voice it comes on a little strong. It's a little too heavy accent. Yeah. But I mean,
Little Josh.
Yeah. Also, like, I'm a bit older than you. I grew up on bad anime dubs.
Right.
Like, dubs that you go back to and you're like, what?
How does this exist?
What were they even thinking? And, the video games back in the day, man.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, 10's your favorite Final Fantasy, but let's not pretend.
Oh, no, 10 is my favorite Final Fantasy.
Yeah, that's what I said. 10 is your favorite Final Fantasy.
No, 10 isn't my favorite.
Yeah, because 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you do love 10.
Yeah, 10's great. I will say, going back on PS3 really made me realize how great that game is not.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. Specifically the voice acting.
Yeah.
That is my one talent, by the way, is being able to do the Titus laugh.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to all the headphone people, by the way.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
may need to adjust the levels on that.
You guys just have to deal with that.
But yeah, like, video games.
That's the thing with days today, like Persona 4, and there are just so many. Even Persona 3, there's so many JRPGs that just nail it, that have awesome voice acting. So my expectations these days are just they're way above.
Yeah, and I see that, but like I guess because I go into it as a Final Fantasy, and again I haven't played really anything Final Fantasy since like 10.
And aside from 13, they've never had great voice acting.
Like that's the level I go in expecting, and that's about. I'd say it was a bit better than like 10. And like
we didn't get a whole lot of dialogue, so it's hard for me to
and like you said, the ADD kid, Proto Man or whatever.
Proto Man. Proto Man. Prompto something.
I knew it started with PR.
The voices.
But I can see why his voice grated on you, but it felt like it seemed like it fit the character to me.
See, I felt the opposite. I felt like the voices on their own weren't that awful.
Yeah.
But it was like these super American, or like the glasses guy was almost like European, or completely European voices coming out of these super Japanese style characters. It was very
because you like to me the three friends, like you had the one friend who was like, oh, I'm the tough guy,
and Noctis barely said anything. I feel like he was just I'm so emo.
Yeah, because he's he's your Avatar or whatever. He's your Gordon Freeman. He doesn't talk much. But
how much does that character look like, by the way, a character designed in 2006? Like he looks so much like a emo.
It's Nomura. He looks like a Nomura.
Yeah.
But they're all like wearing black, except for
they're so out of place when you walk up to like a shop or a gas station
or whatever his name is. What
Proto Man?
Yeah, Proto Man is wearing like a plaid like he's got like a plaid jacket tied around his waist, and like he looks like he's like a punk rock kid from like the late 90s.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Did he have like were his jeans like torn at the knees? I feel like he should have had like jeans that were like torn off at the knees and frayed there. But I mean, like everybody was just like wearing black.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, like like your gruff guy. You had the glasses guy. Seemed like he was the more refined. Like
he was my favorite out of all.
Like he was the one who had a
wise.
plan. So like his European type voice fit him. Like because you have to get the intelligent people.
Yeah.
You want to see somebody who sound intelligent, you need to give them like an English voice.
And glasses.
I
will say.
And then the other guy was like the young guy who's like super energetic and doesn't think things through.
I will say maybe it's not, because now that we're kind of talking about it, maybe it's not the voice acting, especially in the case of Ignis, the glasses guy. I didn't think his voice was bad, but so much of the dialogue in it was pretty bad, like cringy.
Well, I mean, as far as demos go, like nobody was saying like that wizard came from the moon. Yeah. We weren't on that level of like, let's give Peter Dinklage ridiculous lines for the Destiny stuff.
Have I ever talked, like I played that alpha and had no idea that it was Peter Dinklage at all.
See, I knew going in that it was Peter Dinklage. I didn't play the alpha. I think I played it when it was in beta, but
I heard he was in the game, but I played the alpha, and my first and only impression of this game was like, oh my god, whoever this voice actor is awful.
Yeah.
Just terrible.
Well, like
had no idea that was Peter Dinklage.
Like I didn't have a problem with him so much because like he was
there
voicing,
must be a wizard on the moon.
He was voicing a little robot thing. Yeah. So like his voice was flat because he was a little robot thing.
Yeah, it wasn't on Peter Dinklage at all. It was clearly directing.
Yeah. Like they were probably like, no, be flat or you're a robot. You can't have that much emotion. And like you should never usually shouldn't direct somebody to be flatter.
No.
When they're an actor of that caliber. The only time I know that has worked was the guy who played Mr. Freeze in Batman the Animated Series. Because apparently, like that guy was a very traditional, dramatic.
He doesn't hold a flame to.
Oh, Mr. Freeze doesn't hold a flame. No.
Yeah. To Schwarzenegger though.
But yeah, no. Like apparently, that guy, like he was a old school dramatic actor, and he kept being like, "My wife Nora," and they were like, "No, take it down. You're this very cold guy." He's like, "My wife Nora, I have failed you," and they like nailed that character. Like that's the definition of Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze before that like didn't have the wife thing. Like they completely redefined Mr. Freeze on that show, and that actor's performance, as they directed it to have him not as over the top dramatic as he would have normally naturally been, was perfect. But yeah, normally don't do that to an actor. Don't make them be like I felt like they were telling Peter Dinklage, don't act so much.
Yeah, that acting you're doing, can you just kind of like tone that down a little bit?
Act a little less. You're a robot.
So what were some of your other impressions on it? Like, how'd you feel about the combat?
The combat was wonky. I will definitely say that. I felt like it took me a while to get where I wasn't just constantly running.
Felt very unclear to me.
Yeah. It took me a while to not constantly run out of MP.
Yeah.
Because I was just like constantly like, oh, warp here, use this triangle attack thing that uses the MP.
I feel like so much of the combat and mechanics in the game just don't make sense at all.
Yeah.
Like, why does me warping to a high point give me MP?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it does.
And
I don't know why.
90% of the time, there's not a high point to warp to. And and then when there is something that's high up, you're like, oh, I need to warp there. And you're like, it's not giving me the option.
Yeah. A lot of weird stuff.
And I completely lost my train of thought. But no, and I was constantly running out of MP, and then it's like, oh, I gotta wait for the MP to recharge. And the weapons. That was the other thing I was gonna say. Like, it gives you the weapons. Like, oh, yeah, press start to change your weapons.
Did you ever mess with any of that?
I tried to, but I couldn't figure out what the hell it was doing because it gives you like 6 weapon slots, and it's like equip all the weapons.
Yeah. Did you get how that whole thing broke down?
No, like I could see when you're attacking, like as you hit attack, like it's showing you like you're attacking with this type of attack, which is how you would like set the different weapons to the different, and I forget what all the names of them were. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on with any of that.
It was broken down into 4 parts. It was like initiator or initiate or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was your first attack, which by default it had the big one as you'd start with that. Then you'd have the one that would just be your normal melee combo for pretty much the duration of the fight.
Yeah.
And then your counter one for when you counter or parry, you know. And then the 4th slot was for your finisher. Which would be the last hit on an enemy.
Yeah, they did not explain that at all.
No, not at all.
And
I just had to figure that out.
And it also probably didn't help that like the names weren't like first attack.
Yeah, they were
combo. It was very Final Fantasy faux Latin, like duodecium type.
Duocacum.
Episode Dookie. That's it. That should be the podcast title right here. Final Fantasy 15 Episode Dookie.
Episode Dookie. You have any other thoughts on the
but yeah, like I went
Duscae?
in, I was expecting it to be. I'm still laughing at Episode Dookie.
We are 12.
Yep. But no, like I still like I was relatively impressed. Like I only have like 4 or 5 games for my PS4, one of which is The Last of Us Remastered, so that's a remake of an older game. So, and most of the other stuff I have is like,
well, I know you're going to spend $40 on God of War 3.
Yeah, no, not in the slightest. So like I'm not comparing it to like proper like things that are developed from the ground up for PS4, but like it looked pretty to me. I didn't have that much trouble with any of the graphics. There was, even as somebody who hasn't played Final Fantasy in a while and was never that huge into Final Fantasy, there were some moments where I was like when you go through the cave and you're fighting the imps.
I thought that was awesome.
I was like, awesome.
I thought that was so cool because it was that classic art of
like
the
they
imps.
looked exactly like the sprites from
that was something I wanted to
day.
touch on, but I forgot about.
And
yeah, that was super
like,
rad.
OMG, because you don't expect, they've done like these, and admittedly this one's like kind of modern setting, whereas before they've always been like completely like throwback medieval fantasy stuff, or they've been like weird future steampunk, whatever. This one's kind of modern day with magic type thing. But
it's a weird fusion of
usually the futuristic ones don't have as much of like the traditional
callbacks,
like medieval type enemies.
Yeah.
So you only get those in like Final Fantasy like 1 through 5 and then like 9. But this was like they have modern technology, but there's imps.
Yeah, I thought that was really
cool.
And
they look like imps out of like a storybook.
I really wish, I feel like there was just so many dog things that I killed in that demo.
Yeah.
Really would have liked to seen
so many of those.
So many dog things.
I did like how like
buffalo things.
Like they had like when there was a variant of it, it was just like,
oh, I fucking hated that.
Yeah, but I liked how it was just like tinted a different color.
Yeah,
because that's
classic.
Such a classic Final Fantasy move.
I hated those fucking things though, dude.
Yeah, and then there was like the big.
I came up on like 2 of them one time, and they ate me for lunch.
They were a pain. But then there was also the big mammoth.
Did you ever try to fight the huge fucker by the ocean?
Oh, the thing that was the big thing coming out of the ocean?
Like, could you even...
I at one point, like at the beginning of the demo, I tried to walk over to it, and it was just like, oh yeah, I can't walk in the ocean. This is Final Fantasy. I don't have a boat.
Gotta have a boat. Yeah, I never even tried, but you have any other?
And that was the other
thoughts?
thing. Like I also like there's a big enough area. I felt like there's probably more in the demo if I like sat down and went through and tried to explore everything. I pretty much just went through the quest, and like that was it. I feel like I probably could get more out of the demo if I went through and explored more. And they do give you, like, after you finish the demo, like, it basically just creates a save point that's at the end of the demo, and you can still go around and explore and do whatever.
I'll probably mess with that a little bit tonight. I'm curious. Like, I want to mess with the battle system a little bit more and stuff.
So I feel like if I really wanted to, like, Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes it and go through and get the most out of everything,
you could.
I could. Because that was another thing where it's like when Ground Zeroes came out.
Except this is longer than 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Zing.
Yeah. That's one thing. Like everybody's like, "Oh, Ground Zero is super short," and it's like, no, only if you like just go through the story mission and don't do anything else.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's unless you have any closing thoughts on that. I guess that's all we got really.
Yeah, like I liked it all right.
Yeah, I liked. It's weird. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But afterwards, there's just so much.
Yeah, like if I really sat down and broke it up, and there's another thing is. Like, again, I skipped 13 entirely, but I was reading, like, there was a demo for 13 before 13 came out, and apparently they, like, completely changed the combat system after that demo. Like, completely. Like, so much change that.
I never heard about that.
Words on this, but...
Clearly, I think you're having a stroke or something. I'm not sure what's happening.
But, like, all the buttons were different. Like, the whole menu system...
Is there any way I can like get this and play it, or?
I don't remember. Like it came with some other game. I can probably, if I Googled it, it would tell me right away. I'm sure. But yeah. So I'm wondering, like, how much of this is going to
stay in the final product?
When it finally comes out. And even just having this demo as like,
Jesus,
sorry. You can edit that out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But even just having this demo as like a bonus for... Sorry. I've got asthma. My throat gets all...
Josh is dying. And I'm laughing and I didn't.
I'm kerflimbed. I needed the water.
I love it because you like tried to fight through it.
Okay. But even just having like the demo as a bonus. I'm gonna keep laughing. We're professional folks.
Completely.
But yeah, even just like having this demo as like a bonus for purchasing Final Fantasy Type 0 HD was like a big throwback to the old days where like you would get...
It was like, an incentive.
Yeah, like, oh, buy Brave Fencer Musashi and get the Final Fantasy, was it 7 or 8 demo that came with that?
I think 7. I could be completely wrong. Or no, I think it was 8.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was like back in the day when Square Enix did that all the time.
Yeah.
And everybody did that, but mostly Square Enix on the PlayStation 1. And a little bit on the PlayStation 2.
Because back then you couldn't just go online and see gameplay. Yeah. You know, that was how you saw stuff early.
To continue to throw back into Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Solid 2, before it came out...
That was one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, there was a demo of it that came with Zone of the Enders, which was another Hideo Kojima game.
Yeah.
That said a Hideo Kojima game in its title.
A Hideo Kojima game.
But, yeah, and like lots of people bought that game because there was the demo.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened with this, I believe. I mean, I think I probably would have bought Type 0 regardless, but...
Would you have bought it like day one at $60?
You mean day 0?
Oh. Yeah.
Maybe.
Day I, the imaginary number?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not.
And that's the other thing is like the not day 0 edition or day 1 edition. We keep saying day 0. The only thing that's done day 0...
It says day 0 on the box. I mean...
No, it says day 1.
Does it? I swear to God, it says day 0.
It says day 1. The only game that they've done a day 0 edition was the Advanced Warfare.
Call of Duty, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And they legitimately made that like day 0 because it came out the day before the regular version.
Day 0.
Which was dumb. But yeah, like apparently only the day 1 copies of the game come with the demo.
Yeah. So go buy it if you want to play this.
Which they
or just look up gameplay on YouTube.
Yeah,
because it's 2015.
Which they haven't put out like a not day 1 version yet, as far as I know.
I think it'll probably stick around for quite a while.
Yeah.
If it's anything like Infamous's limited edition, it'll be around for a while.
Because I've seen there have been other games on PS4, like Dragon Ball Revolution, Dragon Ball Xenoverse. the new Dragon Ball game.
Right.
Like, it's already, like...
What were you talking... You said something was something Revolution earlier. What were you...
Oh, the Nintendo Revolution.
Right. Dragon Ball and Nintendo.
That was a different conversation. That wasn't even on mic.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I was like, what was that? I couldn't remember.
But, Dragon Ball Xenoverse, like, that's already... That came out, like, a week or two ago, and that's already...
You still have...
There's already, like, a not day one edition.
Oh, okay, wow. Cool.
And there's been some other games that, like, had a pretty quick turnaround. Like, I think The Crew had a pretty quick turnaround from the day one edition to regular editions.
You're going to talk about a game that came out and then just...
Yeah, they kind of... And, like, I was really looking forward to The Crew. I loved it because I played the beta. I liked it.
Yeah, I saw you played that quite a bit.
But it didn't live up once it came out.
I was going to say, in closing, real quick.
Yeah, we're going all over the place on this.
Yeah. One thing I think when you're talking about the graphics, I meant to bring this up.
Yep.
The game I played before this was The Order 1886.
Okay, well, that's going from, like, the Mona Lisa to, like, trying to grade... high school students.
So that could have possibly maybe...
Because literally, like, they spent, like...
The game is... have you played it?
I have not played it, but...
It's...
Like,
blew my mind.
Like, I've heard, like, everybody's heard how super short it is.
Yeah.
And everything. It just really seems to me... And they were working on that game for years, so it seems to me like the majority of their time went into making it look as pretty as possible.
I will say, not a bad game. I enjoyed it. Not an amazing game, but it's a good game. Anyway... Thank you, Josh, for joining me on this stupendous occasion of Super TurboCast, Episode 8. You can follow us at Super Turbo Games on Twitter. You can follow me personally at Virgil Cerberus, and you can follow Josh at, don't tell me, J Davis 1186, I believe.
Yes.
Is that completely right?
Yes, that is completely right. And I've been trying to tweet more lately.
I've seen that. You've been trying real hard.
Yeah.
I know that whole social media thing is...
Yeah, I don't really get it, but
it's what you kids do nowadays.
I'm trying. I also have a Tumblr that I haven't looked at in months, mostly because I'm behind on all my TV shows and I don't want to be spoiled.
Yeah.
You can't go on Tumblr.
Tumblr's awful about that.
And it's, I believe, Gaming Gaijin at Tumblr.
At tumblr.com.
Yeah, however.
It's like...
With an at symbol.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
GamingGaijin.tumblr.com, I guess. I'm also... On YouTube, obviously, I don't have a custom URL, I'm pretty sure, because you have to have a bunch of followers now.
Yeah,
I miss back in the day when you just have it. Unless I've grandfathered into it, but I don't think I am.
You might be, actually, if you've had it for a while.
Yeah, because it used to be like gaminggaijin.youtube.com. I haven't tried it.
It probably is still
but
there.
Like, if you search for me, I think my name displays now as J Davis, the Gaming Gaijin. But
you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, at Super Turbo Games as well. We, as Josh said, also don't have a custom URL, so you just have to look us up. Expect a few videos to go live soon. Dying Light review, Order review.
Yeah.
And then my standalone impressions of the demo will go live as well as maybe a few Let's Plays that 2 people want to watch, probably. But
and I've been meaning to put more YouTube videos. I may start doing that soon, but I've been meaning to for months.
Right.
And I'm also meaning to stream stuff. I'm pretty sure I'm JDavis1186 on both Twitch and Hitbox.
What's Hitbox?
I may just be JDavis on Hitbox.
Is
Hitbox is like
Twitch equivalent.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing as Twitch, except it works.
Oh,
but less people view it. So
less
viewers, but more functional because there's less viewers.
Right. Yeah.
It's more the service like if you're streaming and you're just like, hey, if any of my friends want to watch this, here's my link, because it doesn't get bogged down like Twitch does.
Well, Josh, thank you for coming. Yep. I had a good time with you. We talked about Final Fantasy. We talked about Nintendo's NX console. I'm gonna make that pun 3 times tonight.
Yeah.
And Kojima stuff.
Yeah.
It was a good old time.
Metal Gear.
You knew?